Welcome back, guys. My name is Dimitri Sebastian,
I'm Wes Kendall.
and we are back in session where your fitness and lifestyle questions are answered and bro science is put to the test. We have another exciting episode. We're going to actually take a little bit of time to talk about the Arnold Classic, which I know very little about, but I did a little bit of research. So did you actually watch it live?
No, I did not watch it live, but I feel like I was, checking in regularly as the results were coming up, seeing, like, this is what happens. It's bodybuilding isn't a sport that you watch like, football or something like that. It's like there's two parts. There's prejudging and then there's finals. So it's like prejudging, what you do as a fan is you watch how they line up the competitors next to each other. It's like the order in which they line them up. The person in the middle is winning. The people next to them are, almost winning, and the people on the outside are losing.
Okay.
So that's how it works. So it's like what you do is you watch how the judges rearrange the order as they do the posing, and then you can determine who's going to win.
Kind of subtle.
Yeah.
Kind of subtle. You have to have an eye for it, or at least seen it enough times.
Yes, exactly. Like if you really... It's really hard to watch it. You have to kind of be there to, appreciate it.
Yeah, because I've been to bodybuilding shows just from friends who have gone and stuff, and usually it was just to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it is a weird, nuanced thing. But you sent me some of the stuff to look into it so that I could become smarter, and I actually did have a few things that I was pretty interested in, and primarily with the it was the men's open bodybuilding.
Yes.
The winner was Nick Walker, not Walter.
Yep.
And it was interesting watching him doing
Beast,
his
or the mutant, something like that.
they call him, like, I think it's his brand's mutant. Yeah. It is so interesting how it's such a subjective sport,
Right.
because if you look at like his side poses and his back, it's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And then they do like their front poses, and he's like very belly out compared to the rest of them, which
Very
like
wide.
Yeah, very wide. And you don't have that same tapered. It's actually like almost, maybe it's because I'm just used to like being around like physique guys who have more tapered stuff like that. But it's just like I'm not really sure what you guys are scoring on for the midsection because each of these guys is so distinct. And I actually would have said that he had the weakest, unless he does like the side.
Right.
Then it's like, oh, his abs are, they're freaking dinner rolls.
Yeah.
But
Well, you are right. He was losing those front poses.
oh,
Like,
really?
He was losing those front poses, but
Hire me.
Yes,
I don't
it's
even know what I'm talking. I have the touch.
like already a judge. But those side poses, especially with the legs, he was crushing. You could see way more definition in his back and his side poses than the other guys, which is why he won.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's funny too because lighting is so big. Because if you look at him on stage, for those of you that aren't super aware of it, obviously they go on stage tan. But if you see them in like fluorescent lighting instead of stage lighting, it's vastly different because what you're doing is you're creating.
What do you think? Do you think they look worse or better?
They look worse than the fluorescent lighting. They're too dark.
Stage lighting, right?
Stage lighting, they look much better.
Okay.
But I guess that kind of makes sense. That's obvious, right? You prep for your presentation. So, because what I've always understood is you go dark to keep from washing out in the light. It's why dancers, women, they wear like bright red lipstick and incredibly big eye makeup. It's so that your face pops, because without it, you kind of just like your face kind of like melts over. So like if you're trying to show off your dinner roll abs, you have to have like really deep contrasting lines. And if you're just like, a white guy, it's going to potentially like wash you out on stage.
It also hides the steroid acne and,
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
scarring and stuff like that.
Hey, they do that. They do that between the toes. They're fine.
So yeah.
So yeah, like when you see him, it was funny because I saw him after he won. They had like another pose. I was like, he looks like dog shit right now. And then you see him another one. It's like, oh, he looks amazing. And then I went to like his personal Instagram and I was like, yeah, he looks great. But you have to prep for what you're showing up for. And it is funny too because I feel like black men like actually have an edge in that regard because their skin tone is already so complementary.
Well, you can't really fuck up their tan because that's the thing is like the lighter people, you can make your tan too orange. You can like overdo it where you look ridiculous.
Bad tan is bad.
Not have enough tan. So it's like the darker you are, the harder it is to mess up your tan.
And they won't necessarily be like, oh, he's going to lose because of a bad tan. But like, it's a subjective sport.
It's a presentation.
So if you show up there, I guess, and it's funny too because different stages, different people. I've seen guys who show up like basically, looking dark as hell. I've seen guys who go for like gold. Like there was a guy who was, this is a much smaller show. I think it was
Well,
in
it
Tucson.
depends on the show. That's some shows they're like only this type of tan. Other shows they're like we don't really
What it
care.
kind of wiggles.
Yeah.
Okay, so it definitely, I think it was, it must have been Tucson. But yeah, there was like, it was all over the spectrum.
Yeah.
And the guy who won the overall, I was just like, he looks like a Great God, not because he's like biggest
like
or
a bronze
strongest. It's
statue.
like he literally looks like he's carved from gold. Like I was just like, this is like some Hermes shit over here.
Yeah.
But it was kind of interesting. It's
Yeah.
the big guys. It's you start getting into they're so big it's almost unattractive. But I was happy to see that there's not a lot of that like HGH gut.
Right.
Is
It was
that-
minimal compared to what we've seen in the past because they're trying to cut down on that, obviously. This is one thing. It was like the guys in that class, the open class, they do get judged less harshly on their waist size, but what they get judged more on is their abdominal control. So it's like as long as they keep their abs tight, even if it bulges out a little bit, they still are okay. What happens is if they let relax and and get lazy and let their stomach go out and like relax, then they get marked down.
Okay, so it's interesting that you said that because another thing I noticed was that while his was pushed out, I kind of understood that like they were all trying to keep a shape.
Yeah.
Because their torsos are very boxy.
Right.
But they were all the same type of boxy, so that tells me that's kind
Well,
of
it's like you could see the ab rolls the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like they were staying flexed. But if it washed out and got round or like smooth, then they lost that ab control, and then they would lose points.
Okay, see, now this brings me to the second thing about the ab control.
Yeah.
So the winner of the men's physique was
Oh, this
Terrence.
classic physique.
Classic physique, thank you.
Yes.
Terrence Ruffin.
Yes.
And he looks great, amazing. Mm-hmm. Like we're talking about, like if you have darker skin, like the light just makes him pop. Like he's just
He's got incredible shape too.
he's the depth of his separation. It's just like he's got caverns. It's phenomenal.
Well, he actually was second place last year in the Olympia, which is the championship.
Okay, so he's probably making another run for it.
Yeah, and he won this one, which is the second. Arnold is the second biggest show in the world. The first biggest being the Olympia. That's like the Super Bowl.
Okay, so do you expect to see him there?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a reason.
Yeah.
Well, and we were talking about this before we even got camera. So they had another prize in that same for the classic physique, and it was this guy Logan
yes.
Franklin,
He's one of my faves.
and he got
Got a picture with him.
best classic physique poser award, which is interesting to me because he looks great.
He looks like the statue. He
Yeah,
looked just like the
so
statue.
so for those of you who haven't seen it, he brings in his core into his rib cage.
Yeah.
That like lot of rib, chest, make those abs like press against your spine type thing.
Yeah, it's called a vacuum pose.
And it was interesting because the winner and him were in the same class, but it almost looks like they were different competitions.
Well, they each had different height classes, but they each won their own class. So then what they do is they compete in the overall, which is like each class winner stands next to each other. And then that's why, you saw the picture of the different height people, doing their pose right there. And, that was a huge win for Logan Franklin. He usually places like between fourth and like eighth
Wow, really?
in his like pro shows. So for him to like come in like top three, especially at the show as big as the Arnold, it's huge. Like that's probably his best placing he's gotten at a show that level.
Well, you love to hear it.
Yeah.
So does this?
From Arizona too,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then I support him. That's really all it takes.
and he's a vet. He was MP, I think.
Yeah, I like him less now.
Nobody's perfect,
It's okay. I forgive you. Go and find a gate to stand next to. Well, so this is where like the subjective thing comes up for me again.
Yeah.
Because like they're different heights, different weights, but like they look very different, and that makes me ask: is the expectation different?
Yes.
Or is it just you can either suck it in or you cannot, and we can still judge you the same?
Well, this is what it is. It's like they have set proportions. They're like the biceps have to be the same size as the calves. The thighs have to be the same size as your waist. Your chest and your back have to be balanced. Your shoulders have to be balanced in all three. Blah blah blah. So they have the proportions that they're looking for, right? And if you can choose, do I closer resemble those proportions with the vacuum pose or with a regular ab flex.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
So you can kind of choose what better fits your physique.
Your biceps have to be proportional to your calves?
For classic, yeah.
Like, so my bicep, I put a tape around it and I do my calf. They should be the same size.
Yeah, to achieve that look.
That is such a, I guess it makes sense, whatever, but it's just like, I never thought of that. I didn't know that was even like possibly. Oh, you know what? It's probably what it is, because you're talking classics. I'm thinking of like the physique that you did, where they wear like the board shorts. I was like,
men's physique.
I was like, they have such tiny legs. Like, I don't know how that works.
they nickname men's physique men's bikini sometimes.
Okay, well that makes more sense. So what I think I've always been thinking was a lot more. They're both commendable in their own way, but I feel like I've always thought that like classic physique was a lot cooler.
It is.
I think it's a cooler look.
It is cooler. It's probably the best looking out of all of them. Is
like,
the classic.
When I think like perfect man, I think of you.
Well, thank you.
I think classic physique. That's what Aristotle was talking about. It's like reach your excellence.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be like the Vitruvian man or whatever.
Okay,
it's called, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, proportional in every aspect. So basically, how the bodybuilding shows and competitions go is they have their dimensions, and whoever is closest to it, whether they're exceeding or undershooting it, gets the first place.
Okay, it is interesting, and I think it's funny because it's almost like part of the sport and part of the judging is like not just, you can't just like show, because I learned about this recently. Yeah. There's a thing that you can have where you develop muscle way too easily, like it's like a disease. Yeah. And it sounds amazing, sounds great, but apparently like it's a problem. Like you can't work out too much or you'll get too big, and also like your jaw is something you're constantly working out. Oh, shit. And like you can like get your jaw so strong if you like clench at night, you can like break a molar because your jaw is so strong.
Damn.
So apparently it's like, I was reading about some person who had to get Botox in their face, and it was a woman, and she had like really big biceps and like really big like thighs. She's like,
it's called a myostatin deficiency, right?
I don't remember.
I bet it is.
Yeah, and she was just like, she's like, I do not go to the gym. She's like, I used to go to the gym. I don't do it now just because A, I don't like it. B, I get so big that I like outgrow blouses. And I was just like, and she says that she gets like scouted by so she'll like, I don't even know why people know this, but I guess she's like on like blogs about whatever, and like she'll get hit up by like coaches, and they'll be like, you can come here for free. And it's because they know that they will be able to craft her into something very easily and get a return.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so that's but yeah, that's what the show does is it says like you can't just be huge. You can't just be air quotes proportional or whatever.
Right.
Because like you might be Instagram awesome, but like it's like you have to like pay attention. You have to understand the craft. You have to understand the waves. You have to understand the ebbs and flows of the sport. So there is like a strategy part to the competition.
There is. A lot of people, that's one thing, when you get to know, it seems like there's a lot more going on than just people flexing next to each other. One thing I wanted to talk about on it was really interesting, the people who won. Not in the classic physique. That was kind of, besides Logan Franklin doing way better than he normally does, which is awesome. Everyone's pretty happy about that. The men's open bodybuilding. The people expected to win did actually pretty poorly, and like a lot of newer competitors that weren't expected to do so well, and usually haven't paid their dues enough to like make it that high up, ended up winning. Like Nick Walker winning first place. He went from like being a nobody pro like 18 months ago, and now he's taking first in the second biggest show in the world. And then the other people who didn't win, like
I think it was Lane Valier.
Ian,
I think he was
Valier.
Is it Ian? I don't know. Yeah, I think he was a favorite.
He was. Yeah, he got third. He was expected to be top 5 for sure.
I mean, you look at them though, and it's clear that he wasn't going to beat the guy who won. Just like
no, he just was a little. I feel like he came in slightly off because we've seen him sharper.
Yeah, because I've seen him before. I think he hangs out with Sebum because we all know I stand him.
Oh, they're Canadians together, so they
Oi. I'm sorry.
Actually, the 3 of them hang out together.
Oh, do they really?
Nick and those 2.
That's good. Yeah. I'm always glad to see the homies like pulling up together. Yeah, so it's when you look at them side by side, it's obvious. But I remember him being stated as a pretty clear favorite.
And then what's this guy next to him? Steve Kuklo.
Yeah.
He I don't get it why people like him so much. I think he had him in like 1 or 2 shots, but for the rest of it, the back, the legs, just Nick had him in every.
This
in both
is
those,
this
for
is
sure.
coming from a serious armchair quarterback person who has a lot of work doing his own body. But like when you look at them next to the other two guys, he does look a little soft.
Yeah.
And again, he could like eat my entire lunch, and he
Yeah.
looks amazing. If we're in reality,
We're
in
talking
real
the
life,
best top 5 in the world.
yeah.
so
When we're
right
looking
here.
at him next to like
Yeah.
these two guys, it's like clearly belongs there.
Yeah.
But next to them, it's like you could understand what his. Okay, they're what is this one called when they do the arm behind the back?
Oh, side chest.
Side chest. He looks great in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's and also his leg striation is a little weak. But
I think actually Nick is losing that side chest pose. I think his pose looks the worst out of the 3
yeah,
in that one, in my opinion. But
either way, but
he won the other ones for sure.
exactly, it's an interesting competition, and the only reason we don't comment as much on like the women's stuff is because I feel like I personally at
Don't
least
know him.
I see him and I'm like, yep, that looks like a winner to me. But then you show me the top 3 and you're like, pick out who's gonna be winner. Like I'm gonna like it is as good as just guessing. Like
This one right here for what was it? Fitness
International.
Yeah, Missy Truscott. I've seen her a lot. She's a beast. She's been in a lot of like podcasts and like videos with a lot of the fitness YouTubers and stuff like that.
And then Bikini International was Jennifer Dory.
Yeah, I don't really know her. I don't know them as well, and I feel bad about that. But
I mean, maybe we should make an effort. We either need to make an effort, or we need to find ourselves a like correspondent.
Yeah.
We need to get ourselves. If you
Like a
want to
girl.
be our female bodybuilding
Yes,
correspondent, you
we
come.
need a subject matter expert.
You don't even need to come
Yeah.
here. We'll just have you hop on like a Zoom call. All you
Yeah.
got to do is
We'll patch
hang
you
out
in.
for like 10 minutes
Go
and
over the
school
updates.
us, and then we'll be like, great job.
It's like, thank you. We needed to be educated because
We
we're
do.
fools in this aspect.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause I just don't want to
Yeah.
speak to things I don't understand, and it's
Yes.
like I don't want to be like having it because I can sit here and judge guys like he looks like dog shit next to these other two guys.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, Dimitri, you're fat. It's like thanks, and then but it's like if you do women, it's just like I don't want to be the guy who's like making a negative comment. It's just like no, Dimitri, that's a positive. You sound dumb.
Yeah.
So it's just like speak truth to justice and don't kind of make things up on the way. That's the plan, at least.
Last thing I want to say about the Arnold, I think it's really cool that they do that best poser and like crowd favorite, award. It's like
Yeah.
not just like first, second, third. They have other like ways the athlete can succeed and do well. So it's like shit, $10,000 for being the best poser. That's pretty good.
Well, and also with guys who are coming up, like you're losing so much money.
Right.
It's I know that everyone's like, yeah, if you want to do music, if you want to do anything abnormal as far as your job is, like there's a cost that comes with it. But I think it does open up the options for people that maybe aren't as like financially like tied in.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing. It's like it bothers me a lot when you always find out it's like, oh, this successful person, like yeah, their dad was like the richest person ever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I don't hate that.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
just,
really wish that like
Takes away from it.
I like an underdog,
Oh yeah.
But that's good to hear that they're giving options. Like just because you didn't win doesn't mean you can't still get like a chunk of change.
Get recognized.
It keeps people in the
Rewarded.
sport. It keeps
Yeah.
people in the sport.
That's true.
Because I'm sure there's hundreds of people that are like, I keep getting so close, and then I end up not making it, and I've done this 3 years in a row, and I keep coming up just short, and I can't continue to do this. It's financial issue, not a passion issue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go become a trainer or a coach or whatever, and that's great,
Go work for
but it's
Bank
not
of
what's your
America
original
or
dream.
something,
Bank of just flexing out of their shirts, like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, you're not getting accepted for this loan. Walk away.
Yes. Sweating.
All right, cool. Well, let's go and roll to a break, and we will be back with some questions and answers.
Yes.
As always, guys, thank you for watching. Just so you know, this Sunday, as we record right now, I just uploaded a new video. It's a BNS Extra. We have our Soldier Boy over here competing
Yes.
with our good friend Harry, who is a bodybuilder.
Team bodybuilder.
And he's big on Instagram. I believe he's at Harry Devo. That's DVO at the end. He also has a YouTube channel. We have the links at the bottom of the YouTube video. Go check it out. Leave comments, recommendations. If you guys want to see any other types of competitions or anything like that, we'd love to
Let
do
us
it.
know what you think.
And
Any feedback.
It's something we enjoy doing. It gets us out of the house, and it keeps things fresh. We always love working with people in the community and getting time to hang out with
If
them.
you guys can count how many push-ups I actually did, then write it in the comments.
I tried to count them.
Yeah.
I got bored immediately. I was just like,
It's
I literally,
okay.
there's
I
like,
don't blame you.
In the middle of the video, it's me fast forwarding through your push-ups, and there's just like things like this is where we lost count.
This makes me sound more badass. He did so many push-ups they lost count.
Exactly. It's even in there. It's just like, what are we calling it? 50? 50.
Yeah, it's like whatever. Somewhere around 50.
He's like, he might have won. So if you can actually go in there, watch the whole video, and comment who actually won.
Yeah, if someone wants to take the time and count for us, then thank you.
There will be a reward for you.
Yeah.
So feel free to find out if Wes actually won.
Yeah, thanks.
As always, you can find us at the YouTube channel at BNS_radio, the Instagram at BNS_radio. You can find us on all of your podcast apps at Back in Session Radio, and you can find us on Instagram. You can find me at Dimitri Sebastian.
And you can find me at WKendall_MFT. Thanks for the questions. Please like, subscribe, comment, click.
All of it.
Ding.
Do it.
Ding.
And welcome back from our little break. Glad you guys stuck with us because we've got some really good questions this week, and we'll roll right into them. This is a personal favorite because this is my entire lifestyle. Why do I get sick/injured every 3 to 4 weeks? My question would have been every 3 to 4 days.
It's like, damn, that's pretty quick. AIDS?
I mean, I got my thyroid meds now, but like, so I don't know. Because if it's as frequently as that, like me, you're probably dehydrated or you're not eating enough. Or that was a big thing for me. I would get like athlete ill, especially in college. 'Cause I'd be working out twice a day and then not consuming enough protein, so my body was like eating itself at all times. It's like, yeah, you feel like garbage because you've got your carbs, you got your fats, but like your muscles need something, and it's pulling all of that protein from your body, and you're in a wounded state. You're, it's in video game logic, you got that like -1, -2 floating over your head every couple of hours. It's like, ow.
Yeah, that's funny.
You're just slightly getting weaker, but like it would come down to most like overtraining, maybe nutrition.
Well, yeah, it's just under recovering is a good way to put it.
Okay.
I would say like there's 2 types of recovery. There's muscular recovery, which is like soreness, and obviously like if it's too sore for you to work out, then that's going to limit you. Boom, you can't work out because you're too sore. That's going to stop you right in your tracks there. But then there's another type of recovery. It's called central nervous system fatigue, CNS fatigue. And that one accumulates slower, but over a longer period of time. And that one hits you like all at once. So what happens is like, that's why this 3 to 4 week period is, important, because sometimes when people are doing their 2-day workouts, like what you're doing, they'll be like hitting that really good for like 2, then week 3, then maybe in week 4, then they hit a wall. And it's like, man, I'm just like, you get sick, or like you just like lose your motivation to train and you're sick of the gym.
Yeah.
Or just like even depressed. Like people can get like psychologically depressed even from CNS fatigue.
Oh, it's physical. I know exactly what we were talking about. It's like your body, you may not have like what we're going to call air quotes like specific depression, like you don't have like despair, but like you are feeling all the symptoms of it because your body is quite, in the more literal sense, depressed.
Yeah, you just rammed it into the ground. So it's like, that's why people with too intensive training programs or with not enough recovery already built in, like either you're training too hard with not taking enough breaks, or you just need to train more moderately in the long run, end up hitting a wall after like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, it is an interesting problem. This is actually a big thing, like the powerlifting community, is most powerlifting, good powerlifting programs build in deload weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like heavy, and then you should have a week where like you're a little embarrassed. And that's built in there specifically to avoid what you're talking about, because as most of us have seen or know, people who are probably, especially when you're like younger, high school, college, is like the strongest guy you knew would always be like injured every couple of months.
Yeah.
And it's really, that's what you're trying to avoid, because you got to give your body a break, as it were. And it's active recovery. You're still doing stuff because you're a psycho and you want to keep going. But if we're not built to be under constant stress in the way that a bodybuilder is, like we are foragers, hunters, gatherers in like a historic sense.
Well, the problem is there's certain people that are A, genetic freaks, and they can train like that every day of the week and be fine, or B, they're taking enough steroids where they can train like that and be fine.
Well, and this is where I kind of get a little bit, like, we all know, we love Goggins and all of his stuff, and what's the other guy, the bow and arrow guy, okay, so Joe Rogan. I don't know. They're like these guys who do like marathons like every day. Like they're like, I'm out there doing 10 miles every day, stealing souls. Stay hard. And they're they give really good advice and they give a really good idea and a mindset, but at the same time, they are kind of freaks.
Yeah.
It's the body is just not really made to be abused nonstop, because even when we were at a point where we were like running around chasing mammoths, you did that for like a couple weeks while you were hunting or whatever. You catch a mammoth and then you just kind of hang.
And then you eat the mammoth and nap and
You hang out,
eat some more mammoth.
lounge, fight off some invaders, which is really like more cardio than you'd think.
Yeah.
War is a lot of cardio.
Yeah. It is actually.
But when you get to the point where it's like, I am going to lift this heavy item over and over, and I'm going to keep punishing every muscle. I'm going to break fibers every single day in the effort to build up, you're creating a very unique issue for your body to solve. And if it doesn't have enough protein, it doesn't have enough rest, it doesn't have enough water, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Right.
Because you are essentially saying, I want my body to be under duress at all times, and it's on you to keep that up to snuff. What are your recommendations for someone who is saying they're getting injured injured or sick every like couple weeks?
Well, you have two options. Either start throwing in scheduled rest times every 3 or 4 weeks, so it's like you do deload week, or you just take a week off, so if you can't trust yourself to take it easy in the gym, just stop going for a week. And then another option is you maybe, if you're doing 2 days, tone it down to 1 a days, do 1 a days instead. And then you might not need to take a break every 3 or 4 weeks. You might need to take a break every 3 or 4 months,
Or even if you're like a true psycho and you don't want to get rid of your 2 days, change some of your second workouts to something more like plyo, yoga,
active
something
recovery,
light impact, swimming, even like something that's like not the same, because it's running is cardio, but if you're a runner and then you're doing legs and then you're doing your muscles are still getting beat the hell. So it's try and maybe like refocus on some flexibility stuff, try and focus on some more balanced stuff. But yeah, so rest, deloads, and just make sure you're drinking water, eating. Water is big. Water, like the most successful guys you'll see in the physique industries they always have like a gallon of water on them, because they have so much water they need to disperse.
It takes a gallon of water to grow 1 almond. So,
and if 1 almond is,
that's like how big?
How many almonds is that? That's a whole handful of almonds.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get headaches, you're not drinking enough water.
If your pee's not like relatively clear, you're not drinking
It's supposed to be light yellow.
Yeah.
Or else you're hypohydrated. Like a lot of people say like a gallon of water and then like a Powerade every day is actually like usually the perfect way to do it. Or you can just make sure your food's having enough salt. Because a lot of healthy people they get away from salt because you're making the food yourself, and like you don't realize how much salt is in like restaurant / packaged food.
You know what else has salt? BCAAs and essential amino acids.
I don't really know the difference.
Yes.
So it was like BCAAs versus EAs. I don't know what that. Good transition.
Well, I'll tell you. BCAAs are branched chain amino acids, which are leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Those are like the 3 amino acids involved in protein muscle synthesis, which is like turning on the switch to build and repair muscle, which is good, but it's not good enough. That's the problem.
Okay.
So essentially, amino acids are an addition to the BCAAs, which people have been using more recently, and it actually gets the job done what people thought and what BCAAs were supposed to do. So it's like when they're used together, essential amino acids are the 9 essential amino acids to be what's considered a complete protein.
Don't most like high quality proteins have the EAs in them?
Yes. So like a full gram of protein has already all the essential amino acids and BCAAs already. So what happens is when you just take the BCAAs by themselves, you don't have all 9. So you're not fully stimulating muscle protein synthesis. You're just kind of like giving yourself a anti-catabolic fuel.
BCAAs really have undergone a character assassination over the last few years, because it was like, I like my water to taste like watermelons, and I use this for cuts. And then everyone was sort of just like, it doesn't really do
I don't think it's good for cuts anymore. This is what I think it should be used for. If you're using BCAAs by itself, it should be used for a fuel for your workouts when you're, in a low calorie place. Mm-hmm. That's what it should be, because it's going to provide almost no calories and it's burnable proteins that your body can use instead of your own muscles.
Okay.
And then essential amino acids and BCAAs, that could be more of like a recovery agent, because it actually turns on protein muscle synthesis, not just providing fuel.
So the good news is that EAAs pretty much exist in most protein powders in the first place. So if you're taking a whey protein, you're probably already getting them. Take a look at the back of your container. If it's not there, that's weird. Go and get yourself something new. And then BCAAs, are they also in the protein powder? Or
Yeah, they are as well. It's just what's so special about them is the ratio, the 2 to 1 to 1 ratio. Because that's like the ratio your body wants to turn on the mechanism.
Okay. So, I mean, BCAAs, they've, again, character assassination across the board. I mean, if you just, like, want your gallon of water to taste like watermelon, like, be my guest. Just, like, don't expect it to be, like, this crazy game changer.
That's not even a great way to do it. The best way to drink it is all at once, right at the beginning or in the middle of your workout.
Oh.
Best way to do it.
Okay, well, we learned something today. We've all been doing BCAAs wrong.
The gallon jug is actually like kind of, you're wasting it. You're not really getting it.
I never really knew that.
It's supposed to be all at once. Your protein serving. If you're drinking it throughout the whole day, you never really turn on that switch.
Okay, well, there you go. That's what we come for, is knowledge. I mean, you see, like, big guys when it's just, like, it's always, like, colorful.
That's different. Sometimes when the really big guys are like taking a lot of steroids and they're cutting, they'll drink it all day with all of their meals and with their serving. So they're literally like in a hyper saturation of aminos constantly. So it's like, not only are they doing that in the jug, but they're also drinking their workout. They're also taking it before their workout. They're also drinking it first thing in the morning. They're also eating 6 meals a day. You know what I mean?
So if you want to look cool at the gym,
so if you're trying to be
and you are afraid of needles,
fucking sauce fiend, then
there you go.
There you go.
You just do that. You look at them and you be like, yeah, I've been chugging this all day with my 6 meals. I am not big enough to look like I shoot up, but
yeah, it's literally like the last part of the puzzle that you should add.
That's what we always talk about. All these fucking powders and everything. It's like protein powders, a food, forget about it. All the rest of it, it's just like, it's that extra 2%. And let me tell you what, you are not at that fine-tuned of a level. I almost guarantee it. Speaking of the 6 meals, though, next question that just followed on that is there a benefit to eating 5 or more meals a day? And we're going to go ahead and assume that this is, you have a structured diet, macro protein expectation. You know what you're doing. Is it better to just do, instead of having like 3 or 4?
So we're talking like same macros, like exact same, 2,000 calories, same protein, same carbs, 2 meals, and same protein, same carbs, 5, 6 meals.
To keep it simple, So whatever your goals are, we're talking more about number of meals, so that would include spacing and such.
Right.
But we'll go ahead and say, no matter what it is there a benefit to having more spread out meals?
The only benefit is convenience.
Okay.
So that's what it is, because it's like, if you say you have, not just 2,000 calories, but say you got 3,000 calories of food that you have to eat.
Yeah.
And it can't be like, just Five Guys burgers and a protein shake. It's got to be actually like whole, clean food. It's going to be extremely, if not impossible, to get all that in 2 meals.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's more convenient to get it in 5 or more meals than to try and eat 2 meals containing, 4 cups of rice, 2 heads of broccoli, and 4 chicken breasts.
That makes a lot of sense, because that's an issue I've always had, is like, when you get to the end of your day and you're like, oh my god, I gotta eat so much protein right now.
Right.
So if you space it out and like plan for it, when you get to the end of the day, it's like, okay, this is a reasonable amount, instead of sitting there like cramming your face suffering.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So it's more of a, if you have a large number you hit, be that protein or calorie wise.
Yeah.
So if you're, I'm not going to say normal, but if you're more on a average spectrum of diet, at that point it's like shooter's choice. Because there was a long time where it was like,
do it, then do it.
It was like, oh, it keeps your metabolism active, and I was like, I don't really know if that makes. I would say that it's good to avoid crashes. That whole like, oh yeah, that 3 p.m. crash. It's like, well, it's because you ate garbage for lunch. You're probably just tired because the fat's hitting you. But either way, if you're someone who skips lunch or skips breakfast or whatever like that, like, oh man, I'm getting really tired at lunch. Let's go get some food, or right after lunch. Like, if you spread your meals out, like, your energy levels will stay a little bit more
Yes, so that's an excellent point. So like, let's go the opposite way. Maybe you're not eating 3,000 calories. You're only eating like 1,500 calories because you're cutting. For some people that, you know, have issues with hunger or like cravings and stuff like that, it could be more satiating to eat those 5 spread out meals, because it's like when you start to get really hungry, guess what? It's time to eat again.
Yeah.
Then you eat that other meal and it kind of fills you up and holds you to the next, you know, feeding window 3-4 hours from now.
You're rationing out your dietary methadone.
Yes.
You're saying, like, instead of being like, okay, I just got to make it through these 4 hours, I'm still hungry because my lunch sucked. You can say like, no. Like, I've got waypoints here.
Yeah. I'm eating again in 3 hours. I'll be fine.
Like, it might just be like some almonds, but like that's something.
Right.
So and it also kind of helps with, like, you know, boredom / making mistakes. I'll tell you what, when you're like at an office and someone sets up their sign like Girl Scout cookies from my daughter, and you're like, wow, I am not eating again for like 4 hours, like that temptation starts to get a little bit.
It's tough. The longer the gaps between meals, the lower your self-control is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot more sense to me. So we'll say that, yeah, there are benefits of spreading it out. It just kind of, it's shooter's choice.
It's not magic, though.
I mean, it's just like the anabolic window. It was for a long time that there was, everyone was just like metabolism. I'm so glad that metabolism is no longer a thing that gets discussed so much.
Right.
It's like, oh, I got a slow metabolism. Oh, I've got to shoot. Yeah, like, I get it. You come from fat stock. Same.
Well, most people have a slow metabolism. That's the thing.
Yeah, like I would say it's more notable when people have fast metabolism.
Yeah, right?
It's like, look, man, like your body wants to keep you alive so you survive the winter. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Next question we got is it okay that my lower back is sore after back or leg day? I would say back day kind of makes sense, but let's say maybe like deadlifts and squats is probably, I feel like, the question that's being asked here. Mm-hmm. And what kind of pain do you think they're talking about? You think they're talking about sharp, or like do you think they're talking about like that regular soreness?
I would say sharp is always bad.
Yes.
So that's not good in any circumstance. But say like soreness, let's talk about that. Like if your lower back is more sore than the rest of your body on whatever muscles you train, say you did legs and deadlifts were in there or squats were in there, and your lower back is more sore than like your hamstrings, your glutes, or your quads, then that's an issue.
It's a form issue typically, and also it could be a core strength issue. Yeah. Thank you. We've talked about before with how I squat like an idiot. I fold up like meep, and that's because I'm dumb. And but I have the back strength to like continue to keep myself good, and it'll hold me back if I ever really want to go to big numbers, and I'll have to back all the way back down and relearn how to squat. But you know, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Deadlifts again, are you keeping your back in the proper position?
Yeah, are you keeping your abs tight? Are you hinging?
I think that no one should really start doing proper deadlifts without having someone with more experience, like give them like a quick look over, and don't trust your buddy who goes to the gym because he might be doing it wrong too. Like someone who you like at the gym who you've seen, or like is like the people will do that. Like if there's a person in your gym who's just like, they look like they really fucking know what they're doing. It's like, hey, can you just watch me deadlift once? I just want to make sure I'm not fucking myself up. And they're like, yeah, they'll take the 1 minute.
There's some really good videos on YouTube even going over how to deadlift properly. I feel like if you have a little bit of know-how on like feeling mind muscle connection, then all you need is a little bit of instruction on that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, just like pop your butt, keep your shoulders up, kind of like it's tabletop stuff. And also belts. I don't support belts for brand new people or people that are doing really lightweight. However, I have seen it help people where they have those, they're almost just like the ones that movers wear, just as like you put it on like semi loose and it kind of like puts your back into a position, and that like kind of like, okay, this is like what it's supposed to be like. And then you kind of have to like get rid of that. It's like a training wheel kind of thing. I've seen that done before. I don't know if it was...
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it like can correct your form slightly.
Yeah.
You just don't want to use it so long you become dependent on it.
Yeah, if you're using it as a way to like brace, it's just like, look, like you're not, like you're actually just shortchanging yourself. You're creating a training scar, as it's called.
Right. I would say like a big thing in this is, you know, people ask like, why is my back hurt on this? You know, how do you do these exercises without feeling in your back? And most of the time, the number one answer outside of form, obviously, is like have good form. That's obviously the number one thing. But number two is have a strong lower back. You have to have a conditioned and strong lower back that can handle long time under tension and a lot of weight at the same time. So that kind of takes a little bit of time to build because your lower back, one, is easy to overdo, and two, it's the slowest muscle to heal.
Yeah, fucking is. Well, and that's why powerlifters, looking at you again. A lot of those supplementary back movements are really great, like the dumbbell deadlift, doing things like good mornings. Don't go too heavy. It's not a fucking show off workout. Stop extension. It. Stop doing heavy good mornings. It's pointless. The what is it called when you get in that weird machine? You're like back extension, stuff like that. Those are the things that are going to build you a really solid brace, because that'll give you something, your organs to push against, your spine to hold against, and it'll like almost force you to. And also, as a desk dweller myself, who carries all their stress in their back, you might be developing knots because you're sedentary, your hips, your back are always in a chair.
You probably are getting knots. So.
I carry these. I went for, I shit you not, like probably 2 years with like a knot like the size of my fist in like the middle of my lower back. And I like dated some girl who was like a massage therapist person, whatever, and she's like, what the hell is this and how long has it been there? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it just back just hurts all the time.
Like back hurt, I sit.
Sometimes you do a deadlift, like every once in a while just do a deadlift and I'll just go lay on the ground for a while. And then
now we're here.
It's never returned, thankfully. Now what I'll do is if it starts coming back is I'll like roll out on something. That's usually a good way to do it. But yeah, you might just be carrying tension. Your muscles can literally create wads, and they won't go away unless you do something. It's not how working out works, unfortunately. Last question: how do you engage the quads when doing a leg press or lunges? Let's separate this into two questions. Is it possible to not engage the quad during a leg press?
It's this is usually the opposite problem that what a lot of people have. Usually people have overactive quads in their lunges or leg press.
Yeah.
So this question, I know who it's coming from, obviously. She has very dominant glutes.
Good for her.
So it's like good. It's like her either genetically.
That sounds fantastic.
Or maybe she put in work to like really isolate and develop a strong connection with those muscles. Either way, regardless, those are dominant muscles now and are take over during these leg exercises, which is fine and good. But at this point, she now needs to balance out her look, make sure that the legs are balanced, not just posterior but anteriorly, back and front.
Yeah.
What the easiest way to do this is put pressure through your toes and bring your stance in. So like say if you're on the leg press and your stance is out here and your toes are out and wide, bring them in, and you're pushing through your heels, bring them in and lean forward on your toes, push through your toes in a closer parallel or slightly closer than parallel stance, and you're going to get 100 times more quad activation.
See, that is exactly what I was like. 'Cause like every time I've ever wanted to run a leg press, for like what I'd always do is bring my feet in a little bit and bring my feet down like a half shoe's length.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's if you want to totally isolate.
Yeah.
It's almost like doing like a sissy squat almost, sort of.
Kinda.
Not quite, but you get where I'm coming from. That is, I actually, it's interesting you say it too. I see a lot of girls when they use a leg press, their feet are really high and wide, and that is where it'd be. It'd be the glute.
Yeah,
like that would have
hamstring
to be
glutes right there.
That's the wonder of the leg press. Like, first of all, if you're leg pressing 1,400 pounds, I don't care. I'm not impressed. It's like, but it is such a great little machine.
Yeah,
because you can do a lot of goofy things with more weight.
Yeah, you can get creative with it
and isolate. Now lunges.
Yep, same thing. Push through the toes.
Yeah.
Everyone, here's the thing. In high school and in like CrossFit class and in all these like, things that you do in your, summer boot camp, whatever fitness thing, they always say push through your heels, right? They say when you do your squat, when you do your press, your leg press or lunge, push through the heels, have a flat back, whatever. That's true if you're trying to be as strong as possible. That's true if you're trying to isolate the hamstrings and glutes. If you're trying to isolate the quads, you need to push through the toes. You're not using your full leg. You're shutting off part of your leg. But that's the point.
I almost think I know exactly what the issue is here.
Yeah.
Because in group workouts, you guys probably do lunges. I'm assuming you go by distance, right?
Yeah.
Not by number.
Right.
That's where it is, because you can do distance. Because I did this a lot. Is you step really far
on your toes, right?
Because you end up on your heel because you're like, because you have to go like 10 yards. If I take really big steps, I'll have to do like one less, two less. And what you're doing is you're so far reached that you were pulling from like your hamstring.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were closer in, you'd be able to, you can be more quad. So it's like, are you extending out really far? Like maybe tighten up that step?
So laziness is what you're saying.
For me, for them, they might just not. I'm not accusing you of I'm not saying you're me. Mine was totally based on laziness because I hate lunges are the worst.
Lunges suck. They do suck.
Lunges are just the single most ew. I hate them. But yeah, it's if you're doing like, and sometimes people might think that they're really like getting into like, yeah, big lunge all the way, because it does feel like it does get still hit muscles. It's still a difficult movement.
Right.
But if you keep them nice, tight, and like in a, nice and uniform, and because you kind of come from the ball instead of like all the way out here on the heel.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's like it can really shut down the posterior part of the leg when you focus on the toes. You just have to be careful not to lean too far forward, expose the knees to a bad angle.
That was when I learned that during my APFT training thing, how to do better, because the forward lunge, they got mad at us because we were stepping too far
you guys
forward.
Were going knee forward.
Yeah, and they were like pull it back, just for the thigh. And I was like,
well, this is what happens when you're sore or your legs are tight. It's hard to bend at the hips and drop the back knee. So what do people do? They lean forward and stretch.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Trust me, I've tried every way to cheat lunges. Like I have started going out wide. I've gone in. I've gone out. I've started like kicking late. I get it, and it's because it's a great little workout, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So it's like for the leg press, bring it in a little bit. Make sure you're pushing through the toes.
Yeah, bend those ankles.
And then for the lunges, again, bring it in a little bit. Make sure you're coming for the toes.
And good for you for not having dominant quads automatically. So
I mean, honestly, it's a very unique problem, and
probably a good problem to have. That's what I'd say.
I mean, she might have being like me, where it's like, I can do everything but biceps. Where it's just like, oh yeah, like good for you. You have big triceps. It's like, yeah, but like my biceps suck because I hate biceps. So if you can find a way, it's like, oh, I don't actually hate working quads. I just genuinely don't know how. It's like you are going to be astounded at how quickly
how easy it is.
Your quads are going to blow up, and you're like, wow,
that was easy.
Because the glutes and the hamstrings are the hard part. You seem to have that locked down, which is a good problem to have.
So yeah, it won't be an issue.
Sweet. Well, we got anything else?
I think that was it. Things are going good. Happy that the channel's, we're getting some videos out for you guys. Excited for future collaborations to come.
It's been great, as always. BNS_radio on YouTube and Instagram. Back in Session Radio on podcast apps everywhere. If you can't find it on yours, let us know. We'll get it on there. And you can find us on Instagram at Dimitri Sebastian.
You can find me, WKendall_MFT. Thanks, guys. More questions, please.
Pew, pew, pew.
Oh, yeah.